Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, so yesterday's class we were seeing the functions of HRM, that is managerial functions and operational functions. Both should happen together, then only the organization will be successful. Then we saw the primary functions and secondary functions of HR also yesterday. So operative functions and operative functions and managerial functions are the these two. That is, what are the managerial functions is planning, organizing, directing and controlling the human resource. So motivating them, directing them, controlling them. Operative functions are operational functions are employment, HRD, human resource development, compensation, fair compensation of employees, good relations between management and employees, and industrial relations also. Good industrial relations with other industries, other companies. So these are the functions of HRM. Then yesterday we saw this human resource wheel, which is developed by McLagan, which is showing the primary HRM functions and the primary HRD functions. So primary HRD functions is all about human resource development, the individual, the teams, the organization as a whole, to lead the organization to success. Primary HRM functions is planning for the human resource, recruiting and selecting them, training them, developing them, performance management, doing human resource on them, human research on them, providing them all kind of assistance like benefits, provident fund, ESI, all those benefits, providing the compensation and all the benefits to employees, having good human relations. All this is the human resource management primary functions. So this will result in the human resource being a high quality, committed human resource, which is productive, which is innovative, and which fulfills the goals of the organization and leads the organization to success, and the human resource which is ready to take up any kind of change in the organization. So this is the human resource wheel. Most of the times you will be asked this question in your question paper about the human resource wheel. Then you have to draw this human resource and explain it. Then today we go to the objectives of HR management. So HR first decides the individual objectives. Based on that, the functional objectives are decided, that each department's functional objectives are decided. So what is the HR department? What is the accounts department? What is the manufacturing department? What is the marketing department's objectives are all decided, and the organizational objectives are decided on the basis of the social objectives. What society expects from the organizations, what the society expects from the human resource in the organization. They will be having some expectations. Those expectations are the social objectives. So based on the social objectives, you will formulate the organizational objectives. Each organization will have its own goals, its own objectives. And based on what the organizational objectives, they will formulate their department's objective. That is each department functional objective. So marketing department, HR department, accounts, all the departments, manufacturing, they will decide their objectives based on the organizational goals. And based on the departmental objectives, the individual employees' objectives will be finalized. So this is how the objectives of HRM is passed on from the society level to the individual employee level. This is how the objectives are determined at each stage. So social objectives is that the company wants the employee should be treated well by management. They should get fair treatment. The management employee relations should be very good. They should get fair compensation. They should get fair benefits. The company should follow all the legal laws regarding labor in the country. They should follow that. Each organization should follow the legal labor laws. So this is all the social objectives or the social expectations from each organization. So based on this, the organizational objectives is they will plan for their human resource, short term and long term, that is HRP. Then they will develop good employee relations. They will select the right employee for the right job at the right time. So recruitment and selection they will do. Then T&D they will do, training and development of the employees, providing them with additional skills, additional knowledge, additional capabilities, which is known as KSAs in HR. Then performance appraisal of employees, monitoring their performance, making sure that they achieve the goals of the organization through their performance, placement of the employees, and assessment of the employees in their jobs. So this is all the organizational objectives. So based on that, each department will do performance appraisal, like manufacturing department, marketing department. Each department will do appraisal of their employees and placing the employees in the right job within the department and assessing their performance in the department. Then the departmental objectives will decide the personal objectives or individual objectives of employees, that is appraising their performance, based on that giving them training and development, placing them in the right jobs which is matching to their skills, compensating them well, giving them good benefits, and assessing them and monitoring them all the time. So this is how the objectives of HR is determined, which is right from social objectives till the individual objectives of each employee. So if you see the managerial functions of HR, like motivating employees, the guiding employees, mentoring employees, giving them training and development, and giving the employees the guidance, will all the managerial functions of HR, they will determine what will be the policies of HR and what will be the objectives of HR. So if management wants to have good relations with employees, good employee relations, that is their managerial function, or their function is they want to give fair treatment to their employees, then their HR policy would be fair treatment of employees and giving fair salaries and wages to their employees, having good relations with employees. So based on managerial functions, the policies and objectives of HR is determined. And based on these two, the policies of HR and managerial functions, the operative functions of HR are determined. That is how to do compensation management, how to do human relations, how to develop their human resource, how to do employment of their HR. So all these operative functions will be determined on the basis of these two, the managerial functions and the policies of HR. So human relations, how they achieve good human relations, they motivate their employees, they increase their morale of employees, increase their job satisfaction by providing them good working environment and all the facilities, communicating, having good communication with employees, communicating whatever is required to employees. If they have any grievance, any complaints against the organization, listen to it and solve their problems, taking disciplinary action against those employees who are not following discipline. So, this is how they develop good human relations with their HR. Compensation management is they evaluate each job's worth, how much each job is worth. Depending on that, they will decide the wages and salaries of employees, what perks they should get. Perks are the additional benefits like lunch allowance, transport allowance, mobile allowance, company owned flat, company owned furniture, company car with a driver. All these are perks which are given to employees. So this will be determined based on the worth of the job, and they thereby they improve the quality of life of employees. If you pay them well, you give them good perks, then the employees' quality of life will be definitely improved. Then human resource development, how to do? You do performance appraisal of your existing employees. Those employees who need additional skills, additional knowledge, you give them training and develop their careers. So employment is first you design your organizational structure well, you design your jobs, making the roles and responsibilities of the job very clear, doing job analysis to see which job is more important in an organization and which job is less important in an organization, and based on that they will do planning of their human resource in the short term and long term, and then they will do recruitment and selection, that is selecting the employees with the required skills, knowledge and capabilities, matching them to the right job and placing them in the right job at the right time. Induction is orienting the employees, new employees, to the organization's way of working, organization's culture, and final placement of employees in jobs. So, this is how the managerial functions determine the HR policies and how both determine the operative functions of HR. So, this is shown in a diagrammatic way. So, the main objective of HR is to get maximum output from their people with minimum input, with minimum investment. So, they will take minimum, they will recruit and select minimum number of employees and get maximum output from them, make sure they are committed to their work and they have a favorable attitude and behavior towards their work by compensating them well and giving them all the benefits which is due to them. So the HR also tries to motivate their workforce, make their workforce more creative so that the organizational goals can be achieved. So this is the objectives of HRM which they achieve through their managerial functions and their operative functions. So HR is basically implementing the best practices in the organization so that high level of employee commitment and performance can be obtained from their HR. So the HRM makes sure that the best practices are implemented in their organization so that their workforce is highly committed and they perform to their maximum and achieve the goals of the organization. So again, objectives of HR, how it is determined. First, the organizational strategic objectives. What is the strategy of the organization? What is the goals of the organization? From that strategic objectives, the planning is done. for human resource. Then the jobs are designed based on that recruitment and selection. People are recruited and they are given induction, and good practices are implemented in the organization. Their performance is managed by HR. They are assessed and monitored by the HR people, and the good performers, those employees who are good in their work, they are recognized and rewarded by the management, and they are given training, professional development, and personal development. Training and development is given to them from time to time. Career development also happens for them, and they are given promotion and whatever growth which is required for them in the organization. So the objectives of HR are determined in this way from the organizational objectives. So the organizational culture has an influence. The quality standards in the organization has an influence. So these are all the outside factors which are influencing the HR objectives. So this is also again determined in a diagrammatic way. So human beings by nature, they like to have some goals. So these goals are standards against which their performance is measured. So it is always better to determine goals for your employees, whether individual goals or group goals, or based on the organizational goals. And these goals will be like standards against which you can measure the performance of your employees. So if you determine goals for your employees, you can get cooperation and coordination from your employees. They will cooperate and they will coordinate with you, and they will put in their best performance. So the need for HR policy. Why we need HR policy is it is like a guideline. It guides the HR on how to handle their human resource. So when you apply these HR policies in your organization, you can give fair treatment to all the employees. So all the employees will get the same treatment. There will be no favoritism. There will be no partiality. There will be no discrimination amongst the employees. And the employees also will follow the guidelines of the HR policy, and they will try to achieve the goals of the organization. They will perform well, and their performance can be evaluated against this HR policy, whether they are progressing well, whether they have achieved the standards which is mentioned in the HR policy. So the HR policy is very good in organizations. It is a guideline for employees to give fair treatment to employees, to make the employees more committed and loyal, and to make them passionate about their jobs. So there are some principles of HRM. So what are these principles of HRM? There is principle of individual development, which is HR gives opportunities to every individual employee to develop themselves, to take care of training and development opportunities, and to develop themselves. Principle of scientific selection means the principle of scientific selection means you select the right people who are having the skills, knowledge, and abilities for the right job. That is principle of scientific selection. Principle of free flow of communication means you communicate openly with the employees, keep all the channels of communication open, whether it is upward communication, downward communication, horizontal communication, formal communication, or informal communication. So, a downward communication is what usually the bosses will give instruction to their lower level employees. So, from the top managerial levels, they will give instruction to the lower level employees. That is downward communication. Upward communication means the lower level employees will give their feedback, will give their ideas, will give their opinions to the upper level management. Horizontal communication means in the department amongst your colleagues, you will communicate to each other. So each department will communicate within itself. Each department will communicate to other departments in the organization. That is horizontal communication. Formal communication is the communication which is sent formally, which is seen by all, like the people will communicate, send circulars, memos, reports to each other, to their bosses, through email, through written letters, through the phone, WhatsApp message. These are all formal communication. Informal communication is known as grapevine. That is the office gossip. The people among themselves, they talk about the important matters in the office among themselves. They gossip among themselves. That is informal communication, which is not shown outside, which is not visible to everybody. Usually, the bosses don't know what is the gossip happening in their offices. This kind of informal communication is known as grapevine communication. So, there should be a free flow of communication amongst your employees, between management and employees. Principle of participation means you allow the employees to participate in decision making, especially the lower level employees. They should be allowed to participate in decision making. Principle of fair remuneration means you pay fair salary and wages to all your employees, whether it's lower level employee, whether it's mid level employee, or whether it is high level employee. Principle of incentive means you reward and recognize the good performers. Those who are performing well, you should recognize them publicly in front of other people. So other people also in the office will be motivated. You should reward them well. That is principle of incentive. Then principle of dignity of labor is you should treat your employees, all your employees, with dignity and respect. That is, whatever the job they are holding, it may be the cleaner's job or lower level job in the organization, they should be treated with respect and dignity. So, whatever kind of job they are doing, whether it's a low level job or a high level job, they should be treated in the same manner by management. So, these are all the principles of HRM, which should be followed by the HR department in an organization. Then we have principles of labor management, that is having good relations between management and labor, and between other industries, having good industrial relations. Principle of team spirit means having the employees to cooperate with each other, with coordinate with each other, having a team spirit among the employees. That is principle of team spirit. Principle of contribution to national prosperity is where the employees should understand that whatever work they are doing, it is contributing to nation's growth. It is contributing to nation's prosperity. So they should also do their contribution well towards the growth of the nation. That is principle of contribution to national prosperity. So these are all the principles of HR. Now, classification of HR policies. There are three classifications of HR policies. One is the basic organizational policies, second is the general policies, and the third is the specific policies. So, organizational policies is relating to the organization. What is the managerial policies of the management? what is the philosophy of management, what is their principles, what is their values of the management. That will become the basic organizational policies. So what are the general policies? It is relating to the organizational activities like developing the individual employee, creating a harmonious work environment within the organization, having good relations among the employees, interpersonal relations. These are all the general policies which is applicable within an organization, which is relating to all the organizational activities. Then specific policies is relating to the specific job. So there will be many jobs in the organization. Each job will be of a specific category, like you have administrative jobs, you have marketing jobs, you have R&D jobs, research and development jobs, you have manufacturing jobs, you have accounts jobs. So each category of jobs are there in an organization. So there is specific policies for each category of jobs. What should be the communication system? What should be the job roles, job description for each category of jobs? What should be the salaries or wages paid? How the performance appraisal should be done for each category of jobs? These are all the specific policies. So the HR policies are classified into these three, that is basic organizational policies, general policies, and specific policies. So the HR policies, when they are formulated, you should consider, the HR should consider what is the history of the company, how it has grown, how it has been developed, what are the practices in the organization, employment practices in the organization. Do they have a system for grievance redressal? That means to attending to the complaints of customers. Do they have a procedure? Do they have a system? So based on that, the HR policy should be made. Safety regulations are there, safety rules are there for employees, to make the employees to cooperate between the management and employees. What are the opportunities for employees to develop the team spirit, to cooperate with each other? What assistance is given to employees to develop themselves, develop their careers? So all these background information should be considered when you are developing your HR policies. So you will get all this background information from various written material which will be there in organization. They will have their in-house journals, newsletters, blogs will be there, reports will be there of the company, suggestion box will be there of the company. So through all this, they can get lot of information about the company, and also what is the health system which is followed, what is the health benefits given to employees. Do they get vacation with pay? Do they get sickness leave, maternity benefits? All these things, collective bargaining, do they get a chance to collectively have a dialogue with management regarding their demands, regarding their needs? So, how are the labor relations? How are the benefits in the organization? All these have to be considered to formulate the HR policies. So, the policies are usually general policies, which is translated into action through various procedures. So, the various procedures we will see what are the various procedures which are implemented to which are used to implement the HR policies. So I will stop here now for now. Okay, Afreen.
Present, ma'am.
Aparna, Bharat, Dhanusha, Dilip, Dinesh,
Present, ma'am.
Firdos, Manohar, Nalina,
Yes, ma'am.
Shashikala,
Yes, ma'am.
Saundarya Agadi,
Yes, ma'am.
Saundarya S,
Yes, ma'am.
Lakshman, Jayashri,
Yes, ma'am.
Gayatri, Ranjita, Dakshita, Sampath. Okay, that's all, no? Okay, so 8 members. Okay then. So tomorrow join in at 4 o'clock for attending that program by your senior student, okay, on digital marketing.